to the Weightlifting platform, where we go to the four corners of the earth to find the best stories to share with you. And by the way, the earth doesn't really have corners. I'm your host, Richard Mason. The Weightlifting platform is brought to you by the Panamerican Weightlifting Federation. On this week's show, we'll talk with a woman who is now a world championship medalist. And it's just about a year exactly to the first time she ever lifted internationally. For our tip of the week, weightlifter turned broadcaster and coach Michaela Breeze will talk about pre-competition prep, looks into what to do after the meet as well. And for our regular feature, Good to Know, the 1 kilo increase. First, here are the headlines. A coach of the Egyptian weightlifting team, according to the International Weightlifting Federation website, has been now banned from the sport for life. Khaled Kourani was part of the coaching team when Egypt won Olympic medals back in 2012 in London and Rio in 2016. But at a training camp in 2016, 7 young athletes, 2 of them as young as 14 years old, tested positive for the same anabolic steroid. The lifetime ban has been reported on the IWF website. Kourani says that he will appeal the decision. 2 Russian weightlifters have questions to answer after a reanalysis of their samples from the European Championships back in 2012. The reanalysis found steroids. Andrei Kozlov won a bronze medal at the European Championships in Antalya that year, but may now have to give it back as he's provisionally suspended. Similarly, Aslan Badev won a silver at the 2012 Europeans before submitting to the test that has now turned up positive in reanalysis. And those are today's headlines. Now, good to know. It was approximately 17 years ago. Weightlifting's executive board decided to change the way that we all load the barbell. They approved the 1 kilo rule, allowing athletes to lift any weight that was a multiple of 1 instead of having to go 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10. That rule was first applied at the Junior Worlds in Busan, Republic of Korea, later in the spring of 2007. And that is good to know. Now, time to talk. The name is likely unfamiliar, the country far from a weightlifting powerhouse. But you may want to learn the name and take note of that flag for future victory ceremonies. Solfrid Koanda of Norway is the bronze medalist at the last championship in Tashkent, just her 3rd international meet. Welcome to the weightlifting platform.
Thank you, Richard.
Now, we always ask this question to start. Your story, I think, is better told back to front, like talking about today and working our way back into your history. But we always start with the same question, so bear with me. How did you find yourself with a barbell in your hands for the very first time?
Well, first time, I think I was 15. I was working in a local regular studio gym, working out, doing squats and deadlifts, and done that since I was 15.
Now, many athletes, you're an elite athlete, you're a world championship medalist. Many elite athletes come to us from other sports, whether they're gymnasts that have aged out, whether they're CrossFitters who have now decided that they want to do all the heavy stuff and none of that cardio business. Were you an athlete in another sport before you started working out?
I did CrossFit before I did weightlifting. That's where I learned my first snatches and clean jerks.
Okay. Now, I talked about how I want to tell your story backwards because I want to talk about Tashkent first. In the snatch, you made 103, and then you missed 107. You're in 7th place. Forget everything else. You're in 7th place at World Championships, and the clean and jerk is about ready to start. Were you where you wanted to be? Were you positioned well for you?
Well, actually, I wasn't that consumed about the results, where I was standing in the if I was 7th place. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was going for a gold lift when I went for 141. So for me, it wasn't about any placements at that point. It was only about for me and my team to focus on having confidence in my lifts and getting their experience for future in the competitions. So
Now, you talk about confidence in the lifts. Is it in this case a bit of an advantage for you that you haven't been around for 5 or 10 years? You find yourself at the World Championships, the coach says throw 141 on the bar, and you go, okay, and you just go out and lift it. You don't think about, you know, maybe other things that other athletes who have more of a history would think about. Do you think it could be an advantage for you?
I think so. I think my main advantage is that I focus only on about the lifting, not about the results. I have confidence in I trust my team that they put on the weights that they think that I can manage. Not thinking about, for me, pressure about what kind of placements I should be going for. Being the first year internationally, you kind of don't have any expectations on you. So yeah, I think that's have been a major advantage.
Now we talk about Tashkent, and we talked about you going out there and not really, paying much attention, except you just have to lift what the coaches put on the bar. But after you lifted it, it was the gold medal in the clean and jerk at your first World Championships, and with your snatch result in seventh, that moved you up to bronze medal in the total at your first World Championships. That's an amazing story and an amazing result, no matter how you got there. Um, did you think that you'd end up with a medal? I know you keep saying you don't think about the results, but did it cross your mind, or was it just going and having fun and doing what I'm told by the coach?
Well, every competition it's their own. Obviously, you can have a shot and at any medal, or uh, you can have a shot on a medal, but you can also come back home with not a result, no lifts that are being good lifts. So I think that for me, that just having to put in to work for that bar at that stage was my main goal. And yes, it was kind of surprising to think that I lifted a bronze lift and a gold lift, but I think that it has been yeah, it has been a really amazing journey. So
Now, at one of your only other international experiences, a few months before Tashkent, it started out like the same fairy tale, where you're well behind in the snatch, eighth place in this case, and then finished third in the clean and jerk, just outside the medals in the total. Is this kind of what we can expect to see from you lifting on a going forward basis? Not necessarily the best snatcher. You make up a lot of ground in the clean and jerk.
I think it has a lot to do with me being new in the sport, being in weightlifting for 2 years. So obviously, like technique wise, it's gonna be easier to get away with more strength in the clean and jerk. And I think for snatch, it's kind of no mercy on the technique wise. So that's why there's a big difference in my snatch and clean jerk. But I think that, and I hope that maybe in the following years that I will pick up on good technique and be more consistent on my snatches. And I hope that I could take a medal on snatch as well. That's yeah. So I'm hoping for that.
There, okay. Now, before that, there's only other one international meet on your resume. It was you got gold in the total and in the clean and jerk at European U23s. You got to lift in Santa's backyard in Rovaniemi, Finland. Did you meet the big guy? Did you meet
Yes,
Santa?
I did.
What was it
I got
like
a
at your
picture
first
with him as well.
international meet?
Well, it was not my first international meet. I actually did the Europeans
Okay.
in Moscow as well. So that was my first internationally.
Okay.
And then in October, I was at the under 23 year championship.
Okay.
Do you want me to think about? Do you want me to You
Yeah, just
want
tell
me
tell me tell me
to
about the meet in Finland. Tell me about the meet in Finland.
Finland?
Were you
Okay.
happy? Did it go well?
Well, yeah, I think it went really well. I think it was my first time feeling a bit more confident in my lifting. I think maybe it was the first time I was thinking that, making a gold lift and uh, that I think that that's why when I realized that I can do more in the sport, that my what's it called? My development had been kind of great. So I was thinking that if this had been in, yeah, 1.5 year, I can just multiply that with, I don't know, like 3 or 5 years, and it kind of made me more hopeful about the future and more motivated to focus more on weightlifting.
Now, Norway, we've talked about this a little bit in the introduction. Norway isn't exactly a world superpower when it comes to weightlifting. But I get the feeling that Norway's taking it a lot more seriously. A little while ago, you hired former USA coach, former Polish medalist from back in the day, Zygmunt Smallchurch, to be part of Norway's dream team of coaches. Is it your sense that this is good timing for you? That this is a good time to be a Norwegian weightlifter?
I think so, yes. Mostly for me in the personal kind of view, because I think that Sigmund is more. He he wants us to lift technically good. He's really focused on the technical point of the lifts, and I think that has been a huge advantage for me and also the other lifters at the national teams in different levels. And I think that's how we can get better. Not you can't get stronger in 2 years, but you can technically move better to have better understanding in the lifts and also have that competition, like his spirit and his experience and what he teaches us has helped us a lot, I think.
So, what's the plan for you now? What are you working on training for Europeans? Are you looking at worlds in China? Is the ultimate goal Paris? What are you working on right now?
For me, for now, what I'm working on is to get more training in my daily, like my weekly routine. Like I've done a full-time job as well as weightlifting for the 2 years, and now I'm focusing on me as an athlete. Developing and getting in the needed training, the needed amount of technique work, and I hope that will. Make me a better weightlifter. And I am working on the Europeans and being my best at the next Worlds and all that. And I think also that I hope that I have also the possibility to qualify for an Olympic event. So um, that's really my goals. It's focusing on myself, on the weightlifting, and uh, maybe replicate the results and maybe do them better. I don't know. So that's will that's for the future to
Yeah.
decide. So
Just more reps, just more reps. Thank you very
yes.
much for taking the time to talk to us. Now, as you know, this was the easy part. The hard part's next, where
Okay.
we're going to put you on the clock. This is the time where we get to know you a little better, not necessarily the athlete, but the human being. So we've got a bunch of questions to ask you. Some of them weightlifting related, some of them have nothing to do with pretty much anything at all. Are you ready? The clock starts
Yes.
in 3, 2, 1. Name the best Norwegian band since Aha.
Oh, I would say Martin and Martinus. There's two twins that are
Fantastic.
singers.
Apples or oranges?
Apples.
What do you see yourself doing in 10 years?
Hopefully, I'm doing weightlifting, if not coaching.
Okay. Sushi or pizza?
Sushi.
The favorite app on your phone right now?
Instagram.
Instagram. Now I want your favorite color. You only have 3 choices: blue, red, or white.
Blue.
And is Santa Claus really from Finland or is he Norwegian?
What if Santa Claus is really from Finland?
Yeah, I think he might be Canadian, and you probably think he's Norwegian.
I think he's from Finland.
Oh, is he? Okay. Thank you very much for taking the time to have some fun with us. Let us get to know you a little better. Best of luck going forward.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. The tip of the week is next. Michaela Brink and her experience on the international weightlifting platform, and she's used it as a base for her coaching career, as well as an opportunity to turn to the broadcast mic for major weightlifting meets. Now she's sharing some advice on pre and post competition in our tip of the week.
Hi from the weightlifting platform by Panamerica. My name is Michaela Breeze. Welcome to my facility here in South Wales in the UK. I'm here to share with you some of my tips about how to best prepare for competition. Now, depending on the level that you train at or compete at will probably depend on what options are available to you in terms of competition. If we look at some of the best lifters in the world, they're going to be competing at the highest levels: Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games, European Championships, other continental championships. And they are going to have a very structured program which will take them up to peak performance at those events. One of the biggest challenges that I face as a coach is preparing my lifters to be able to peak at the right time. And one of the biggest challenges can be because a competition calendar doesn't allow sufficient time for preparation to build up and to get the body ready. More often than not, particularly in the UK, it is certainly the case, and I know it is in many other countries, where you may have a younger lifter or somebody who is pretty good and is eligible for lots of different competitions. And they find themselves bouncing from one competition to the next with only a matter of weeks between them, sometimes as little as 3, 4, 5 weeks. And it just isn't enough. It isn't enough time to get that physiological adaptation so the body can get stronger. My advice is, after competition, take a step back, review, maybe have a week of active recovery. And I'm not saying time off. I'm talking here about lowering the intensity, bearing in mind you've just built up to a competition where the intensity has been pretty tough. Use that week after competition just to switch off psychologically, to give the body an opportunity to come down on the weights and just to recover. That's a great opportunity, I always find, to increase the volume. So my lifters are normally blowing and they're quite fatigued in a different way. It works slightly different energy systems, a bit more weightlifting specific fitness. Then look at a program. Then we want to be looking anywhere from approximately 8 to 12, even 14 or so weeks from one competition to the next as a minimum time. And even if you've got that amount of time between competitions, I wouldn't endorse trying to peak at every single one. But it is really, really important after competition, give your body a little opportunity to recover before you go again, and have some kind of plan in place that is more than just a few weeks. If you do find that you've got one competition back to back with only a few weeks training in between, may I recommend that you pick out the key competitions that you want to do really, really well, and the other ones you just train through. I hope you've enjoyed. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Michaela Breeze. Feel free to reach out with any direct messages.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. If you like what you see here, please bookmark us on YouTube. You could also like the IWF on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and that is IWFNET. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.